Hi guys, today I have a very special treat for you. I shall be reviewing the discontinued Canon EF50mm f1.0L. A lens so special, I flew all the way to Vietnam to review it. So there's really not much to say about this lens. Canon no longer makes it, and it's a 50mm focal length with an aperture of f1. It has autofocus natively, a feature that not many other 50mm f1.0 lenses have. And it shares the exact same body as the Canon EF85mm f1.2. As I mentioned before, this is a discontinued product, so the only way to obtain this lens is through the used market. Places like eBay, Gumtree, Craigslist, Carousel. And a good copy of this lens can cost almost $4,000. So, is this lens really worth that much? Let's find out. For this review, I will be adapting the Canon 50mm f1.0 to my A7s with the Comlit EF to E-mount adapter. The first thing you'll notice straight off the bat is that the Canon 50mm f1.0 is a pretty soft lens. It suffers from some color fringing, mostly around bright light sources, and it flares up pretty easily too. But at an aperture of f1.0, this lens sucks in a tremendous amount of light. This was one of the reasons why people bought this lens back in the 80s. Every shot you see here can be achieved with ISOs between 320 to 800 at a shutter speed of 1/50th of a second when shot wide open. But the biggest feature of this lens is its bokeh. The bokeh is super smooth, and when you combine this smooth bokeh with the soft look this lens produces, you'll get a rendering that gives this lens its unique character. You can actually tell apart images that were captured with this lens, and that's why people are willing to pay up to $4,000 for this lens. At wide open, this lens is soft. There are details to behold. However, you'll probably not catch it in your first glance. I guess it's an acceptable sharpness for the aperture, but that's it, it's really not very sharp. Stopping down a full stop to f1.4 and you'll see most of the softness disappear. If only it was this sharp at f1.0. Oh well. At f8, this lens is sharp. In fact, this is probably the best aperture to sharpness ratio you'll get with this lens. If you want maximum sharpness, then you'll need to stop it down to f11. At f16, things don't look any better. Diffraction does reduce some sharpness, but only slightly. So, what about corner sharpness? Here's a comparison of the bottom left corner taken at every full stop. I must say, considering what you are paying for this lens, the corners are just horrible. Vignetting doesn't completely clear until f8, and no matter how much you stop it down, the sharpness never really impresses. So, is this lens worth $4,000? Well, no. I mean, you're basically just paying for bokeh. Sure, it has that unique rendering that I mentioned, but I'm pretty certain that there are cheaper alternatives to the Canon 50mm f1 that can provide not the same, but similar rendering. And with the advancement in camera sensor technology, I really don't think that we need that much light transmission from an f1 aperture lens. I mean, my A7s can shoot up to 400,000 ISO. Sure, it's pretty noisy that high, but it's still very clean, up to a pretty high ISO. Which brings me back to what I said before. You are basically just paying for bokeh. Well, I mean, there is autofocus if you want to consider that. Not many 50mm f1.0 lenses have autofocus. But let's be honest here. How many of you guys were really excited about the autofocus when you clicked onto this video? Thought so. So, in conclusion, I'll say this. If you like the look this lens produces, and if you can afford it, well then, by all means, go for it. Otherwise, you might be better off with something more current. Until next time, see ya! So this is where I filmed the test shots for this review. The shops and bars on this street opens 24 hours. Ironically, it's quiet during the day and noisy at night, like so.